He is known for his vivid accounts of the early days of the University of Paris and his valuable insights into the education system of that time. He is recognized for his extensive studies in Paris under renowned philosophers such as Peter Abelard and Gilbert de la Porree. His name is John of Salisbury. Born into a modest background in Salisbury, England, John of Salisbury's future seemed to be shaped by his pursuit of education. As a young scholar, he made his way to Paris, where he studied under renowned philosophers such as Peter Abelard, Alberic, and Robert of Melun. His time in Paris provided him with valuable insights into the early days of the University of Paris, as he vividly described the atmosphere and interactions between teachers and students. John's thirst for knowledge led him to Chartres, where he delved into grammar under William of Conches and studied rhetoric, logic, and classics under Richard L'Évêque, a follower of Bernard of Chartres. It was during this time that John was exposed to Bernard's Platonic teachings and the emphasis placed on the study of Latin literature. These influences would shape John's own works in the years to come. Returning to Paris around 1140, John focused his studies on theology under Gilbert de la Porree, Robert Pullis, and Simon of Poissy. To support himself, he worked as a tutor for young noblemen. It was in 1148 that he found himself at the Abbey of Moutiers-la-Celle, where he resided with his friend Peter of Celle. During this time, he had the opportunity to attend the Council of Reims, presided over by Pope Eugene III. It is believed that it was during this period that he became acquainted with Theobald, possibly through an introduction by the esteemed Saint Bernard of Clairvaux. John of Salisbury's journey as a philosopher and scholar was shaped by the guidance of his esteemed teachers, his exposure to different schools of thought, and his unwavering commitment to learning. His experiences in Paris and Chartres laid the foundation for his future contributions to philosophy, where he would explore concepts such as Platonism and the importance of studying the classics. Through his writings and teachings, John's legacy would continue to inspire generations of thinkers and learners, leaving an indelible mark on the world of philosophy and education. John of Salisbury, the trusted secretary to Archbishop Theobald, found himself immersed in a world of influence and power during his time at Canterbury. It was during this period that he encountered Thomas Becket, a figure who would greatly impact John's life. As he embarked on numerous missions to the Papal See, John's path crossed with that of Nicholas Breakspere, who later became Pope Adrian IV. Their acquaintance led John to spend several months in Benevento, deepening his understanding of the Church. It was during these years that John composed his most significant works, the Polycraticus and the Metallogicon. Published around 1159, these writings not only provided valuable insights into scholastic education but also shed light on the decadence of court manners and the ethical laxity among royalty. John's humanist tendencies and cultivated style were evident in these works, which became invaluable sources of knowledge. In the Metallogicon, John defended the trivium, arguing that socialization was essential for human well-being. He challenged those who believed that verbal arts should be excluded from logic, asserting their importance in the pursuit of knowledge. John's ideas, influenced by his predecessors and his own experiences, brought new perspectives to the field of logic. However, John's loyalty to the Church and his involvement in the disputes between Thomas Becket and King Henry II led to his falling out of favor with the king in 1163. As a result, he sought refuge in France, spending the next 6 years with his friend Peter of La Celle, who was now the abbot of St. Remigius at Reims. It was during this time that John wrote the Historia Pontificalis, shedding light on the constitutional struggles that engulfed England. In 1170, John played a pivotal role in preparing for Becket's return to England, only to witness his assassination upon arrival in Canterbury. The tragic event deeply impacted John, reinforcing his commitment to the Church. 4 years later, he took on the role of treasurer of Exeter Cathedral, continuing his dedicated service to the Church until the end. John of Salisbury's life journey exemplified his unwavering dedication to the Church and his pursuit of knowledge. His works, such as the Polycraticus and the Metallogicon, demonstrated his intellectual prowess and his ability to shed light on the pressing issues of his time. Through his writings, John not only challenged prevailing thoughts but also emphasized the importance of socialization and ethical conduct. As we navigate our daily lives, we can draw inspiration from John's commitment to his beliefs and his relentless pursuit of truth. Just as he confronted the challenges of his time, we too can strive to address the issues that plague our society. John of Salisbury's philosophy serves as a reminder that knowledge, ethics, and dedication to a greater cause can guide us in making a positive impact on the world around us. John of Salisbury, a philosopher and scholar of the 12th century, may not have been widely appreciated during his time. Many of his works were overshadowed by more popular writings and only survived because they were copied into manuscripts alongside them. In fact, there is still ongoing debate about whether certain works were truly authored by John of Salisbury. Despite this, John's writings provide valuable insights into the literary and scientific landscape of Western Europe in the 12th century. He was well versed in the new logic and dialectical rhetoric of the university, but his views also showcased a cultivated intelligence that extended beyond academia. He opposed the extremes of nominalism and realism, instead emphasizing a practical common sense rooted in practical affairs. John drew inspiration from the literary skepticism of Cicero, whom he greatly admired and whose style he emulated in his own writings. He believed that the purpose of education was not only intellectual development but also moral growth, a belief that would go on to shape the educational doctrines of Western civilization. This moral vision of education had similarities to the monastic education that preceded the scholastic age and aligns with the ideals of Renaissance humanism. While John may not have had direct access to Greek writers, he was a master of Latin. He was familiar with the Latin translation of Plato's Timaeus by Chalcidius, as well as possibly having access to translations of other works such as the Phaedo and Meno. He was also well acquainted with the writings of Aristotle, possessing the entire Organon in Latin, making him one of the first notable medieval scholars to have such comprehensive knowledge of Aristotle's works. One of John's notable contributions is the term theatra mundi, which he coined. This concept would go on to influence the theater for centuries to come. In the third book of his Polycraticus, he delves into the idea that the life of man on earth is a comedy, where each forgetting his own plays another's role. This notion reflects John's contemplation on the complexities and interconnectedness of human existence. John of Salisbury's scholarship and philosophy provide us with valuable insights that are still relevant today. His emphasis on practical common sense, moral education, and the interconnectedness of human life can guide us in navigating our daily lives with wisdom and understanding.
Do you want to explore more philosophers? Who do you want to see featured next? Subscribe and leave a comment below to let me know. I'll see you in the next video.